Welcome to the Bubble Podcast. My name is Adrian Bono, and today we've got a great episode with political scientist Pablo Simón. More politics because why the hell not? And how easy or not is to make friends in Spain. I think you're going to enjoy it. A quick reminder to subscribe to the Bubble Podcast wherever you listen. That's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button there too, because it helps us grow, and right now we need it. So don't forget that The Bubble is also a newsletter covering Spain every week, and you can subscribe for free at thebubble.com. We now welcome our first guest, but first, a quick word from our sponsor. Are you thinking about starting a business or relocating your company to Spain? This episode is brought to you by Lexidy, a global law firm that helps founders and companies handle everything from company formation to cross-border legal matters. Learn more at lexidy.com. Today, we are joined by my favorite political scientist in Spain, Pablo Simón. If you follow Spanish politics even casually, I can guarantee you've seen him on television. You've heard him on the radio because he's always on. I don't know how you do it. He's always helping everyone, including me, understand Spanish politics. He's also a professor at Carlos III, University of Madrid. Pablo, I don't say this lightly, but you are definitely one of the smartest, most articulate people in this country when it comes to talking politics.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much for your kind words.
No, I'm super excited to have you here. I'm very glad that you're here because this is a pretty wild moment for Spanish politics. So Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez is under a lot of pressure. The corruption scandals are piling up. The Socialist Party, his wife, his brother, we're seeing a political landscape that feels more unstable than it's been in years. So we're going to try to answer a very few, I don't know if they're simple questions, but they're definitely going to help us understand a bit more. So the first one is pretty simple. How bad is this moment for Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez?
Well, it's terribly bad, and especially for the Socialist Party as well. I mean, the current situation is mainly divided in three different battlefronts. On the one hand, this legislature that started after the general election of 2023 entail a very difficult position because this government only can make an anti-Vox coalition in the Congress, okay?
Yeah.
So this created a very unstable situation. This government has not been able to pass any budget during these 3 years. They passed no important reforms or bills. So they are still in a stalemate on Congress on the one hand, but at the same time, there are no an alternative majority. So it's a very weird situation, but it is not possible to have a successful motion of no confidence led by the Popular Party. On the other hand, the second big battlefront of this government, and Pedro Sánchez in particular, is the judiciary front.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of different scandals here, some of them that are linked with his brother and his wife. And on the other hand, we have also a corruption scandal affecting the party itself and the Ministry of Transportation. And on the other hand, the former President Zapatero. And the three are collapsed together, and we don't know when starts one and finish the other. And at the same time, the third battlefront is the current situation in all the regional elections that we have held since the last 2 or 3 years. And in all of them, the Popular Party and Vox have reached about 48-50% of the votes, and the Socialist Party is going down and down and down, and all the parties on its left are disappearing. So the situation is extremely difficult for him. It is not, on the other hand, something very different if you see what is going on the rest of the world. I mean, to see instability, volatility, polarization is quite common. It doesn't matter the place you look at, but it is true that nowadays the situation for Pedro Sánchez is extremely tricky.
Yeah. We're supposed to have elections in July of 2027.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to make it that far?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Happens?
Probably he will call for a snap election. I mean, he has made the compromise of, and he declared that he wants to have an election in 2027. It is feasible for sure. But he has also said that he will try to pass a budget. And we know that probably he will fail on doing so. The vote of the budget in Spain tends to take place on December. And after that, you can call for a snap election, and it can lead the general election to February or March. This is important because timing is crucial in Spanish politics. And in May, we will have regional and local elections. So there's a lot of pressure from its own party, but also from the coalition partners in Congress to prevent having all the elections the same day. They don't want this because they consider, and they are probably right, that this having all the elections together will contaminate the regional and local elections and will be a plebiscite about Pedro Sánchez. And the Nationalist Basque Party or the other parties, or even socialist mayors and regional presidents do not want that. They prefer to discuss about their own situation on local and regional politics.
Yeah. Like, if we look at the map now of Spain, we see that most of the regional governments are under a blue collar, right? Like the PP, center-right PP. 3 of them are doing coalitions with Vox, which is the far right. So should we expect, the way things are going, should we expect a PP-Vox coalition government next year?
Yeah, I think so. In general, Vox is signaling that they want to enter in the coalition government. It's true that they have had different strategies concerning that because they started to make coalitions with the Popular Party in 2023. Then in 2024, they split up all those governments because of migration policies. And now they are going back again to enter in governments. And it's very interesting to see how Vox have changed the kind of things they are bargaining, or they are pushing on this process of negotiation with the Popular Party. They used to talk a lot about sexual minorities, feminism, and so on. Now they are only talking about migration. So they have learned a lot about their partners in Europe, and they know that they need to be specialized. One single issue party focus on migration.
We're hearing a lot about the national priority schemes.
Exactly. Therefore, what is interesting is to see how it's going to be the relation of MPs between the Popular Party and the Vox, because depending on the strength of Vox, they will claim more or less portfolios, and the kind of portfolios is crucial. It's not the same having, for instance, Vox with the Defense Ministry, which is a very likely, or Agricultural Ministry, very probable, than Interior and Migration. It's not the same because probably they are looking for a Salvini model. Say that.
So what is that government going to look like to you? You know, it's going to be probably lower taxes for corporations and
exactly. They will follow this. I mean, they will combine two sides of the same coin to some extent, which is, again, lowering taxes, less intervention, less social policies. They will skip green policies. They will push again nuclear energy because they are always saying about that. And they will try to restrain migration. We don't know if they are going to be able to do so because it's not so easy as they consider. Because at the end of the day, you have to consider also how the market and the enterprise structure in Spain is working. I mean, you still require migration for more of for instance, tourism and so on. But it is true that they will try to refrain that. Let's see what happens. We don't know yet because it's going to be an experiment. We have never had a coalition government from the right with the radical right in government. So it's going to be something new, very common in Europe, not so common here in Spain.
Do you think that the Partido Popular is moving right in order to reach a coalition with Vox? Have you seen a kind of like a Voxization of the Partido Popular?
I mean, if you compare the Popular Party with other right-wing parties and conservative parties in Europe, the Popular Party is already one of the rightist one. I mean, it is the case simply because remember that here in Spain, what we have seen is an evolution from the right to the center and not the other way around. I mean, remember that in the structure of how our political system started, at the very beginning, we have two central parties, which were the Socialist and UCD, and then you have the Popular Party or the Alianza Popular and the Communist. When UCD disappeared, they remained as the only right-wing party and they started to move towards the center. So to some extent, some of the policies of Vox, I mean, are going to be easily assimilated by the Popular Party because they are already there. It's true that it depends more on the region we talk about than on the party by itself. Meaning by that, it's not the same the position of Díaz Ayuso concerning migration, for instance, when you talk about Latin American people, than the position about social policies when you go to Andalucía and Moreno Bonilla in comparison with, the Partido Popular of Comunitat Valenciana.
Right.
They try to change the discourse because here in Spain we have 17 different arenas and the Popular Party has to switch its message to each of them.
Well, imagining that we have a PP-Vox coalition government next year, what do you think happens with the Socialist Party? What do you think happens with the PSOE in a post-Sánchez world? Who would be filling that void? Because Sánchez is such a important, not isolationist, but like it's very, it's all about him when it comes to the Socialist Party. So who fills that void?
Well, one good news and two bad news for them. The good news is that in general, the Socialist Party have a lot of capacity to regenerate himself. They have had internal crisis very strong. In the case of the disappearance of Felipe González, they were able to create a new leadership with Zapatero, and they did the same with Pedro Sánchez. So they have the capacity to reinvent themselves. But two bad news for them. On the one hand, and it is very important, now they have the minor level of territorial powers they have ever had in all its history.
It's pretty bad.
So for them it's terrible because at the end of the day, the only relevant in, let's say, GDP terms that they are leading is Catalonia. And Catalonia is complicated as well. But in general, they are having a lot of problems. And if you don't have territorial politics in Spain, your party is weaker. And on the other hand, something that have happened in general, not only to the socialists, but in general, I will say at global level, which is the decapitalization of politics. Meaning by that, intellectuals, smart people prefer to do not enter in politics.
Wow.
They don't want to participate on that.
Wow.
Why? Well, it's the result of a very polarized politics.
No, of course.
It is very bad paid. You have a lot of tension. Your family is exposed to criticism. Social media also will make all your life. So people prefer to do not enter. And it is not the same that 15 or 20 years ago.
No, and you had to deal with the fallout of that for years and years to come.
Exactly.
So it makes sense that people wouldn't want to be
Exactly. So it's easier for you to enter in politics when you are in government.
Right.
If Pedro Sánchez comes here and say, I will appoint you as minister, well, you can say, okay, I will pay the price.
Right.
But if they say, okay, you can be the speaker of the opposition, well, it's not so good.
Is there anyone you could think of as an up-and-coming rising talent?
I'm not able to imagine how the next Socialist Party will look. But it's true that probably it's the time of having a female candidate.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think that however, I don't know if we're gonna see someone coming back into power anytime soon. The damage that it's being done on the Socialist Party right now with all of these open Leire, Zapatero,
exactly.
Caso Coldo, Ábalos, etc. And then Sánchez has his own problems, which is his wife, his brother. This has damaged the reputation of the Socialist Party for a long time.
For sure. Even the own Pedro Sánchez can be prosecuted as well. It's something that may happen when he left the Moncloa. So at the end of the day, it's true that it is not only the change in the sign of the government, it's also that we will lack opposition.
Right.
Because the socialists will be having this prosecution and these investigations for years.
Yeah.
And it will take for them 4-6 years to finish all these trials that are going on right now. Imagine Zapatero. It's extremely complicated to follow all the money and to investigate all the potential ramifications of this scandal. Yeah. So for them, it's going to be terrible.
It's incredible how. Do you think? I have a related question, but first, do you think that there's any chance that Sánchez is going to be prosecuted after he leaves office?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Let's see what's going on. But for instance, if he is in the notebook of Leire as PS, maybe in the future, not now, it's not possible now because he's the president of the government, but maybe in the future when he is not protected by the fuero of parlamentario, it could happen.
Yeah. I can't help but think, lots of foreigners listen to this podcast and read our newsletter. So I can't help but think this sort of, I don't know if you would call it disconnect, but there is a very big difference between the perception of Pedro Sánchez abroad, which
Yes,
is this
true.
sort of like left-wing progressive hero, and his image in domestic politics,
Yeah, yeah.
which is
Mhm.
not the opposite, but it's very badly damaged in comparison.
Sure.
So do you think that people outside of Spain understand what's happening with Pedro Sánchez right now? Do you think that he's going to continue to be a progressive success story?
I'm not
after
sure of
he's
that. It depends, because remember, it's not the same as the caso of Lula da Silva or the caso of, I don't know, Jose Socrates, was other leaders that have been prosecuted, and after a time, it was discovered that they were innocent. We don't know what's going to happen here. But it's true that there's a very hard disconnection between how Pedro Sánchez is perceived outside. I mean, it makes sense to, I think, based on two principles. First, Pedro Sánchez loved international politics in comparison with all our former presidents since the era of Felipe González.
And he has a very public profile as well.
Exactly.
He gets interviewed.
He always, this is something extremely good. And I mean, he has been able to connect in a given moment of the composition of the liberal order with this need of, calling for action in favor of the traditional rule of law at international level and so on. That is very cheap outside, because Spain is a medium source power. I mean, we don't have a real influence to some extent. But at the same time, it's exactly the kind of policy he has room of maneuver. I mean, you don't need to go to Congress to pass a bill about your position on Palestine. But you know that all the progressive people here in Spain will support it. And at the global level, people will support it. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Do you think that, considering all of these corruption cases that are definitely affecting his popularity, what does it say about him when he comes out and says, I had no idea this was happening? And let's just ignore his wife or his brother for now, because that's tricky. But when it comes to Zapatero, when it comes to Ábalos, Koldo, what does it say about him as the leader of the country that he didn't know this was happening in his parliament?
Here, I mean, the problem here is that it's not reliable.
Right.
I mean, he's not reliable. It's literally impossible that the person who has the Centro Nacional de Inteligencia, you have the spy system here in Spain, wasn't aware about what's going on his own party. It's totally impossible. I mean, you have two kind of responsibilities here that are very connected with the same reasons he used a motion of no confidence against Mr. Rajoy, which was, you are negligencia in vigilando or in eligendo, no? I mean, you weren't able to follow up or to survey what's going on in your party, or you failed because you appointed the wrong persons to different positions in office. And I mean, you can, to some extent, trust him when he said, first time with Mr. Ábalos. But then he appoints Santos Cerdán, as Santos Cerdán is prosecuted as well. I mean, two times, the same persons. Then it's very difficult to be trusted that he didn't have any clue of what's going on. So to be honest, what could have been something that probably will save or could have saved his own party was to resign.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, 1 year ago, if he had resigned 1 year ago, you are still having room of maneuver to appoint a new prime minister that could follow the rest of the legislature and then introduce or make big reforms or big changes and then go to an election with some chances. Now, I think it's extremely difficult. And I mean, our parties here in Spain are extremely hierarchical and very disciplined.
I agree.
So it is very difficult to see this kind of movements like, like the UK.
Of course. And it also seems like this is not something he would like to do, right? It seems like he wants to lose an election and say, I finished my term.
But I could say something additional to that, which is maybe the reasons to continue is also to be protected by his position as president for all the trials that are going on could proceed in the future.
Right.
So what's going on? The project, the party, or yourself? Probably you have trade-offs here. You have to decide. Maybe go for a snap election is better for your party, but it's worse for you. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
He always chooses the same.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're going to have to wait until the summer recess is over and see what happens. Pablo, I'm going to let you go, but I have one quick question before you leave us. A few weeks ago on the radio, I think it was on Cadena Ser, you said you would pay for dinner for everyone listening if there was a motion of no confidence against Pedro Sánchez. are you still confident this is
Of
not going to
course,
happen?
it's not going to happen.
So we're not
So
gonna
all
start preparing the
listeners as
tables?
well, if they want to join to this bet, it's not a problem.
We don't need to start preparing the reservations.
No, don't worry at all. It's not going to happen. It's not going to. It does not make sense. I mean, we will have elections on July maximum. Why go into that? Why expose the Popular Party to have an alliance with the pro-independence parties from Catalonia and have this loss of support, of their own support, and giving the opportunity to Vox to criticize them? It makes no sense.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Okay. Well, I trust you. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you. I think you know a lot more than I do. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure.
Hopefully, we can have you again at some point
For sure.
before an election. More than welcome to join us.
Sure.
Thanks,
you.
Pablo.
Bye.
Today we're going to try to answer one of the biggest questions in Spanish taxes, in Spanish daily life, and that is Spain a good place to be a freelancer, an autónomo, or should you set up a company instead? If you've just moved to Spain, or if you're Spanish, as I now am, this conversation is for you. Every time we write at The Bubble about freelancing taxes or setting up a business in Spain, we get avalanches of mail from users, from readers, and questions about the ins and outs of each process. So today we've invited an expert to help us separate the fact from fiction and answer these questions. Hector Lopez Vázquez is the global head of corporate at Lexidy, an international law firm where he specializes in company formation, corporate law, and helping entrepreneurs and international professionals set themselves up in Spain. Hector, and do it in both languages. Welcome to The Bubble.
Thanks for the introduction, Ian. But the simple answer is a question.
Yeah.
So what we actually are intending to do with your company or your business in Spain, if you want to be quickly billing, then the straight answer is set up yourself up as autonomo. It takes 24 to maybe 40 hours, and you can already start billing from day one, and afterwards you can set up the company. So it's not either or, it's both, right? So you can firstly start off by setting yourself up as autonomo, and then when you think that business is getting off the ground, you can move on and then set up the company. And by business setting up, getting off the ground, there are different signals that we can maybe later on talk about them. But one of them is the monthly net revenue. Basically, when you go over the threshold of 4K net per month, then you should start considering, I need to set
So
up
it's about
company.
50,000 a year net.
It's about 50,000. That's the threshold. So
Right.
then it's when you think, okay, 50,000 a year is 25% the personal income tax.
All right.
And the corporate tax rate is set at 25%. So that is exactly when you think, right now is when I should start thinking about that leaving aside all the liability and
Right.
which is that we all know, I assume.
So is that the first question? I was going to ask you what the first question you ask a customer when they come in.
All the time.
You say, how much do you make, or what's your...
I've more than I try to understand the business, because sometimes even if you don't reach that threshold, if I see that you've got solid business that will rapidly grow, then I might even advise you to set up the company from scratch, that you don't need to wait. Because if you have co-founders, if you're thinking of employing people from the beginning, then you might be thinking of setting up a company. Because in terms of cost, maybe it's slightly more expensive,
Right.
but it pays off as time goes by, because you're limiting your liability. You're setting yourself up the basis for success, because obviously a company has got a better branding perspective than a autonomo or self-employed.
Okay. Obviously, Lexidy is a law firm, but can you give us a quick sort of non-lawyerly explanation of what the difference is between being an autonomo and having a company, especially if it's a one-person company?
So if it's a one person, if it's a sole proprietor, then just go for autonomo. It's easy. You only need to go to the tax agency, and in one day, boom, you're autonomo. You might even, and obviously you're recording this, so you don't even need to say to register as autonomo up to 20K per year. So you can just invoice your clients, pay quarterly VAT, and then when you go over the threshold of 18K per year, then you set up as autonomo. So you can even start just testing the waters and see if the business is consistent. If you've got consistent revenue, and then set up as autonomo. But again, the difference between autonomo and companies is there are three. So taxation, what we discussed before. Corporate tax rate is 25% for the first 2 years. If you haven't done that activity before, then 15%, which is way lower than personal income tax. And the capital liability. Your liability is capped to your business assets instead of your personal assets.
Okay.
And then thirdly, brand-wise, if you've got co-founders, then it makes way more sense to set up a company.
And the cost structure, how much it costs you? How does that compare?
Okay, so the incorporation is about, in comparison to other countries in Europe, it's perhaps slightly more expensive. It's about 1,000K. It depends on where you set up the company. If it's in Madrid, Barcelona, Valencia, 1,000K. Smaller cities, Malaga, maybe 600.
Okay.
But it's within that range, from 500 to 1,000K. Whereas autonomo is free.
It's free.
And then if you're even if you set up a company, or if you register as autonomo, you have to pay the social security contributions the same. So
right. It's the company paying it instead of you, but it's essentially it's you.
So that doesn't change. And then ongoing costs, they're mainly the same, because you have to file the VAT quarterly returns, and you probably need a gestor, which is basically a chartered accountant in Spain for that. And the only difference is that as a company, you file the corporate tax return, and as autonomo, you file the personal tax return. So it's basically the same. It doesn't really change the cost structure.
And to bring up the much hated hacienda, are you under more or less scrutiny, or is it very different at all?
Oh, 100%. I think as a sole proprietor, if you're autonomo, or if you are a solo founder, same scrutiny. After 3 years, they'll start asking you for the VAT quarterly declarations, just to see how you're invoicing your clients, how you're billing them, whether you're billing them correctly, especially if you've got clients overseas. I always advise you to get a chartered accountant, just to make sure you're billing them with VAT, that you're charging the right VAT sometimes. So depending on your activity, it may be a bit confusing, but it doesn't really make a difference between solo founder or autonomo. Sadly, same scrutiny.
Okay. So just to summarize this, sort of the basic difference is you'll pay more upfront to form a company. The running costs will be about the same, and it's useful if you make more than 50,000 a year, because it will lower your tax rate.
Exactly. It's useful if you make more than 50K a year, if you're employing people, and if you've got another co-founder. Because if you've got another co-founder, it's way more efficient to have a company. You set up a shareholders agreement, a partnership agreement, and all the ownership is shared between you two. Whereas if you set up as an autonomo, it's way more difficult to actually distinguish what is owned by you, whereas what is owned by your partner. So it's
okay. And when people are choosing, I mean, we've gone over this pretty clearly, I think, but what are sort of the common mistakes? Do people make? Do you see people who've chosen poorly often? Like people jump right into a company when starting a company when they actually don't have any income yet, or
I see a lot of times, and that's not. Especially because we work with a lot of tech companies. So what I see often is a group of entrepreneurs. They start together, and they all are autonomous. And then one of them, they might be drawing up the code or the IP, and then they all think that the IP belongs to the company, but it actually belongs to the person who actually draw the IP. And that with artificial intelligence, that happens a lot. And then obviously, when everything goes well, then no issue. But if there is a bit of a misunderstanding, then
right. And then someone says, "Oh, but I did that, and I invented that."
And then you think, "Okay, wow, I thought that was a partnership."
Yeah.
If you've got a company, you make sure that everything is owned by the company.
And this is a sort of tangential. We're talking about doing, when you talk about starting a company, that's a SAA, it's a Sociedad Anónima.
It's a SL.
SL, Sociedad Limitada.
Exactly.
So it's like in
LLC.
the United States, an LLC.
LLC.
And so when did you form a Sociedad Anónimo, which I assume that's a bigger company?
That is a big company because that implies depositing 50K as a share capital. And then when it comes to share transfer, it's free. So because the LLC and the Sociedad Limitada, there are rules regulating the transfer of shares.
Right.
So you cannot freely transfer shares, whereas if for the Sociedad Anónima, like the public company in the States, you can freely sell your shares, and it's more effective. But for entrepreneurs, I would always advise Sociedad Limitada LLC.
Thank you for spending the time. I'll just wrap it up quickly with it's helpful to have a company if you're earning more than $50,000 a year. Expect to spend more to set it up, and get an accountant to tell you what to do.
Get an accountant. A corporate lawyer.
Corporate lawyer. Excellent. Okay, thank you very much. Excellent.
Thanks to you, Jaime.
Spaniards have a reputation for being extremely sociable. I think in this country, it's easy to meet people, have a conversation, go for cañas, but controversial take here. Are we actually friendly or just very good at socializing?
I think we're both. I think we're very good at socializing, and we're actually very friendly. For real.
Do you think it's easy to make new friends here in Spain? I mean, you've lived in different countries. Do you find it easier here?
First of all, let's just provide people with some context. I spent half of my life outside of Spain. I lived in Argentina, the US. You also spent half your life outside of Spain. You lived in Mexico, the US, the UK, Argentina. I don't know. You've been all over. So when we moved back to Spain a few years ago, we both had to readapt or rebuild a new life here. So we've had to start making friends from scratch. And we've had to face this sort of like, we are strangers in our own country and we need to make new friends, right? I think that in my case, personally, it has not been hard to make new friends. I think Madrid specifically has been very open to me becoming a part of it. It's been easy to meet people who have welcomed me with open arms. I haven't had a problem to integrate. I don't know if that's the same all over Spain because I haven't been everywhere, but I think that generally, we're a friendly country.
I think we're very very friendly. And when you look at studies and like polls, like the FIS, like the National Polling Service, it ran a study like very recently saying that Spaniards value friendship even like above romantic love when it comes to what powers their well-being, basically. And
above romantic love.
Yes.
Is that a
friends? Like
yes,
bros before
bro. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not gonna say, but you get it. So it's family. It's health, like obviously health and family, then friends, then romantic love. That's what satisfies them the most.
But that's very interesting. Is that in every generation, or is this with like Gen Z or millennials? Is this with everyone?
I'm not the head of the CIS polling service. I don't have that data, but generally, so family, it's 97.8% that people feel that is the most important part of their lives. Then it's friendship, 94%, and then it's love, like romantic love, 91.5%.
So pretty high, but it's behind friendship.
It's pretty high, but friendship, it's very, very important. And I do agree, it's not that hard to make friends in Spain. I feel like people are very welcoming, like very warm. However, there is something I wasn't prepared for when I moved back to Spain, which is kind of weird because I'm obviously Spanish. Like I've lived for 16 years abroad, but I've never felt not Spanish, So I assumed that when I would come back, everything would be the same. And actually something that I've been struggling with is the concept of el grupo, the amigos.
Right.
Because I feel here in Spain, you make friends maybe in college or even before that, at school, things like that. And I feel like because in Spain, you don't have that much mobility, within the country, in places like the US, it's very common that people move cities around the country, right? Here in Spain, unless you go to a different city for college, you usually live in the same city for the rest of your life. Obviously that's changing, but it's been like that for a long time. So I think it's easier to keep the same group of friends, forever.
Right. But I have a question about that.
Yes.
So what happens if suddenly you move back to the city let's just say Madrid, and you become friends with people who are part of a group of friends. Do those people welcome you as well?
That's the part where I think the situation might be different in Spain than in other countries. I'm just gonna give you my personal
Interesting.
experience.
Go ahead. Yes.
Because I know like people are really interested
In your life.
in my
In
personal
your
life.
personal life.
I don't know. Like my comparison is like when I moved to Mexico for the first time. Like people that are really, really welcoming of like foreign people, especially like Spaniards. So it was like really easy to integrate into existing groups. Same thing I think in Argentina, maybe less in the US, but like people were very open as well. I feel
But the thing is that the US doesn't really have that kind of like,
I know it's like
because everyone
different
moves around all
dynamic.
the time, so
Yeah,
it's
no,
really hard to
exactly.
keep that.
Yeah.
Um,
But I feel like here in Spain, it's like you have your like maybe school group, or you have your club group, or you have your like soccer practice group, like whatever. Like I don't know about
Yeah.
soccer, but I guess you have like soccer friends as well. And I felt it's kind of like difficult to join an existing group as an outsider in a way.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I have
and
not
by the way-
had that. I have not had that experience.
You're very popular, I
I am
guess.
no. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
No, it's
So
just
he's very friendly and antisocial, apparently.
No, I never. I mean, obviously, but I never said that. I my experience in Madrid has been the opposite of that. I moved here in early 2021, right when Filomena, the snowstorm, hit, and slowly I started to build new friends, and I suddenly found myself inside different groups of people who are friends, obviously from school or college or even work, but they had known each other for a long time, and they were very welcoming with me, and they started inviting me to go out to dinner or going to the movies or going to the theater, that kind of, and I felt very welcome and happy because I was 41 years old when I moved to Madrid. I didn't have a lot of friends here. Now everybody's moved to Madrid, so now all my friends are here, which is great. But back then I didn't know anybody. So I was very happy with the result because I felt very, very welcome by the community here. I found it, I was even very pleasantly surprised because my experiences in other countries like Argentina or the US for different reasons had not been the same, and yet people in Madrid were very open to welcoming you to their group of friends.
Let me ask you something. Do you think is that because you're a Spaniard? Like, do you think that would be different if, like, you were an American, a British person?
It's a good question. Maybe. I don't know.
Like, maybe there's a connection there.
I couldn't say. I think that at the same, you and I are not the typical Spaniard, right? Well, it's the truth. I mean, we sound funny.
What is typical Spanish?
We have, well, like we are weird. We've been moving around a lot, and we don't have that sort of like group of friends that other people who have been living here all their lives had. So I don't know. Some people don't really see me as a Spaniard because my accent's funny. I've spent such a long time outside of Spain, living in Argentina or the US, or sometimes things that are basic that any Spaniard would know, I have no idea. I remember when people were talking to me about Mónica Naranjo, it was like huge.
You didn't know.
And saying out, like, you like her? And I'm like, I have no idea who she is. It's like, what? You don't?
Yeah.
No conoces a Mónica Naranjo? And I was like, no. I'm a bad Spaniard. So educate me.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I would have to ask someone who not only is not a Spaniard, but also does not speak Spanish as a first language. I think that definitely has something to do with it.
And that's why I bring you the data, because there is a report, there is a study done by an organization called Internations Expat Insider. So in 2024, they asked international people living in Spain whether they found it easier to make new friends in Spain versus other countries. It is true that 77% of people in Spain said they felt at home here in Spain compared to 55% globally, but only 53% said they found making local friends easy compared to the rest of the world. And actually, we ran a poll in with our readers today.
A very scientific book.
Very scientific, like hundreds of thousands of people answering. Like the majority said they find it like harder to make new friends in Spain. So maybe there's something different versus with locals and internationals. There's also like this concept, I don't know if you've heard about it, of coconut countries and peach countries.
I think I heard of it, but please refresh my memory.
Yeah, so I mean, there is like this concept of like there are like some countries where like the personality of the people resembles a coconut in the sense that they're very hard in the surface, so it's really hard to make new friends. But once you make new friends, like once you get to know them, it's really warm and like apparently coconuts are like that.
Watery?
I don't know.
Well, coconuts are not
I
warm
guess.
inside. They're watery.
So in theory, I'm not a scientist. I don't know. In theory, like countries like Germany, Switzerland, Sweden, those are supposed to be coconut countries. Then you have the opposite, right? You have places maybe like the US where like it's very like soft in the surface. It's really easy to be friendly because people, you just speak to strangers at the bar. Like it's very easy to start a conversation. But then when you get to know them, it's a little bit harder because they don't want to share any intimate details or like something that feels very intrusive. Do you think Spain is a coconut country or a peach country?
Oof. I think it's a cocoa peach. If that's a thing.
Oh, yeah,
I
like
think
genetically modified fruit.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I think that it depends. It depends. I think that we're an extremely friendly country. Obviously, it's a generalization, but in general, we are definitely friendlier than even other European countries. I always tell this anecdote of this friend of mine from Germany who came to visit, and he was staying at my place, and I live in Chueca, and we still have that sort of like small town feeling there. So I was going from my apartment to the supermarket, and as we were walking there, people like in the bars or the coffee shops, they would wave at me. It's like, "Good morning, Adrian. Good morning, Adrian. Buen día, Adrián. ¿Cómo estás?"
Like Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah. And then it's like, I get to the supermarket and the cashier is also like, "Hi, hello, Adrian. Hola, Adrián. ¿Cómo estás? Buenos días." And this guy's like, "Are you like, do you guys live in a Disney movie? Why is everyone like exactly?" And he
He's like
brought
Whale in Chueca.
Yes, it was like Beauty and the Beast. So definitely a friendly country. And again, I'm sure that there's people who are interested in being your true friend, and who may be a little more distant or who have no interest in making new friends because they feel that they already have enough friends and they don't want to, keep collecting friends like you're collecting Instagram followers. But in general, I would say that my personal experience is we are a friendly country, and we are also a country that is interested in being your friend.
Yeah.
Again, there's cultural barriers, language barriers that get in the way, and it may not always work for everyone. So it would be interesting to talk to someone who is not a Spaniard or who doesn't speak Spanish, and who needs to make friends here to see what their experience has been.
So basically, this is the right topic with the wrong host. We should have like different.
Yeah, well,
Although, like,
I don't know if I agree with that.
You talk about like cultural differences.
Yes.
I'm gonna ask you a few concepts that I think are like very common.
Is this one of those things that go on Instagram just so that people can make fun of me? Okay, fine.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I can also hate on you or like things like that. Like whatever brings engagement.
I'll take one for the team.
You have my permission.
Let's just do it.
Okay, so dinner parties.
Yes, love them.
Is that a thing in Spain?
It's not a thing.
Why?
Because it's just culturally not a thing. I lived in the US for a while. I am very used to having dinner parties. It's actually a very important part of our Thursday's newsletters, and people here just don't do it. The concept of going to someone's home and throwing a dinner where strangers can get to know each other and interact with each other, network, etc. I don't think it's that common. I'm sure that a lot of people do it in Spain, but it's not a common thing. My boyfriend would say, "Why are we throwing dinner parties? Why don't we just go out and have a pizza and a beer at a restaurant? Why do we need to stay at home?" Almost making it sound like it's a boring option, right? Like being at home is not a great thing to do with
a good
friends.
plan. Yeah. Do you think it's because like we love being outdoors, or is it like maybe our flats are too small? Like, 'cause that's also a reality. Right?
Possibly, yeah.
It's hard to like host. a lot
Yeah,
of
but
people
also
like,
we are creatures who love to be outside. We
Yeah.
love to do the terrazas, and we love to go for tinto de verano in the summer. And even if it's raining and it's the winter, we still go out. We love.
Yeah.
We have a very strong culture of going out to the bars and the restaurants.
Okay.
And oh, sorry, this is just the first question.
Yeah, that's the first one.
Oh,
but like we've been
fantastic.
talking for like 10 minutes. Okay. Bars, right?
Yes.
Do you think Spaniards feel comfortable speaking to a stranger at a bar?
Are you talking about dating, or are you talking about just like talking
Just
to
like
random?
starting a conversation.
Oh yeah,
Do you
absolutely.
think so?
Yes.
Like to a random person? I don't think that's the case.
Really?
Like, yeah, it doesn't happen here. Like if you're having a
When you
drink-
say here, do you mean Madrid or do you mean all of Spain?
I mean, I would say like Spain generally, but yeah, obviously there are like regional differences. But I would say like here, like it's not that common that you would speak to a complete stranger at a random bar.
I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not saying that I'm right. I could be wrong. My perception is that it is common for you to just like lock eyes with someone else and suddenly just start making up conversation. It happens to me regularly at the supermarket line when I'm about to pay, or when I'm in line to go to the movies or the nightclub, or it happens. Maybe it's just Madrid.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's just Chueca.
Sure. What do you mean?
No,
Do you mean that
I don't want to.
people just talk to
imply
you because they
anything.
want to hook up? Or thanks for implying that.
No,
I think that is very
was-
clear.
Yeah, no, but what I feel is that sometimes, I mean, our character is very different, like depending on the region, like obviously.
Right.
But I would say that even though we're very friendly and sociable, there is something about the Spaniards where like maybe we're not that open when it comes to talking about ourselves, compared to other places. Like can feel a little bit as even like arrogance to start talking about yourself to complete strangers. Whereas that's like totally normal in other places. And it's seen as a sign of like, I want you to know a little bit more about myself so I
Right.
can then ask about your life. Here, if a random person starts talking about who they are, what they do for work, like without me asking, it feels like a little bit intrusive.
Is that a
So,
generational thing, or is it just like a general thing?
I mean, I guess it's general thing. Do you feel like younger generations are a little bit more open, or like
I don't know, and that's why I'm asking if it's generational, because maybe it is younger people who are like this, or the opposite. I don't know. It's just not my perception. So I'm very interested in understanding why your perception is like that, which in my case is the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to leave us a comment, talk about your own experience making friends, just leave a comment on YouTube.
Or not making
Spotify,
friends.
or not making friends. Like, should we start like a friend-making group
Maybe we
service at the Bubble? Any tips for someone who just landed in Spain, like wants to make local friends, what to do and what not to do?
Look, this is not just to make friends. This is just, if you're moving to Spain, first thing you should start doing, if you haven't done it already, is start learning Spanish. That's the best way to start integrating with the local culture. Start learning about the country you just moved to. And that is definitely going to open a lot of doors if your goal is to not land inside of a bubble. If you want to make local friends and get to know the local people, then that's the best thing you can do.
Yeah. And also subscribe to thebubble.com. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, subscribe to our podcast on YouTube, Spotify. By the way, please, if you can leave us a review, that's really, really appreciated. I'm sure the universe will pay you with very good local friends.
That's an interesting plug. So basically, you're like asking me for advice to our listeners, and then your advice is to subscribe to the bubble, which is, I'm not against
Exactly.
it. I'm actually completely in favor of that. Yes, to subscribe
It's
to the
called
bubble.
marketing.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube, also give us a like. It really helps us grow. As always, we'd love to hear what you think. We're still shaping the podcast, so send me your feedback, your suggestions, guest ideas, whatever you think we're doing great, whatever you think we're not doing great. My email is in the description. It's adrian@thebubble.com. And if you want to stay on top of everything happening in Spain, check our newsletter at thebubble.com. It's free. and it's the easiest way to keep up. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at TheBubbleCom. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.